Hi Mark, great to spend some time with you over the weekend and do some further work on your game. Just a quick recap on the key points that have been discussed. First of all, if we take a look at your setup position from down the line, one of the things that's been suggested, and I agree with it really, is to give yourself a little bit more room. It's something we've discussed in the past. You can see there that the hips tend to be sort of underneath you a little bit too much, and we might want to increase, Stephen was talking about increasing the hip hinge. I wouldn't go overboard on that, because that's going to increase the tilt forward towards the ball. I'd look at it more as, if you get further away, the hips will hinge upwards a little bit more as you bend forward, and as a result that will allow you to get the feeling of the arms working in and around a little bit more. So a little bit more room should start to facilitate a little bit more hip hinge as well. So that would be point one. Shortening the backswing is something that was discussed. I'm not really overly concerned about that too much at the moment. You know, do you get it flat at the top? Looking at that there, I mean, it all really, in my opinion, depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to draw the ball, a flat left wrist is certainly not doing you any harm. If you start cupping that wrist, that's going to make it easier for you to get the club steeper in the downswing and shifting the plane to the left in the through swing. So personally at the moment, yes, I would shorten it, yes, I would load to a little bit more, no, I wouldn't cut the wrist at the top. You may get an appearance of the wrist being more cupped, but it's actually two loading more that allows for that. So that's my take on that, sort of on those setup and backswing changes. Hips have got to move forward more at P1 to assist you with the linear piece. Keep the hips moving forward throughout the downswing, but the big move, and the one that you really need to focus on initially, is this transition. Now, what Stephen said about it being a little bit slower, again, I agree with. I think to do things properly, you really get those changes in quick, you really need to start slowing the way that you rehearse things down and becoming a little bit more deliberate. But the feeling is to internally rotate the right elbow from P4 to P5, maybe 5.5. So if we look at it as we start down on this one, club and shaft set quite steep, and on this one, and this is doing it a little bit slower, we can see as we start down, the shaft just lays down that little bit more. So if we stop it on around about the same place and put a line on, let's change that colour to blue, and put a line down or up the right forearm, we can see that there's a change in the angle of that because of the rotation, or the internal rotation of that right elbow. So that's starting to shallow things out, and you can get the shaft tumbling under a little bit easier from P4 to P5. So if you just play this through, we stop at P5, shaft very much above plane, shaft starting to get in a much better position, certainly shallower, arms in more at 5, certainly less spinning. If you look at the body, look how much more of the left leg's visible here. The right knee started to shoot out in front very early. If we look at it from face on, one of the key checkpoints that we talked about was at P5. We want to see one arm. Beautiful. From here, we're going to continue the trend. Club much more in at 6, body much less rotated, not up on the right toe as much. No translation back. Much better leg work. You can see the linear in there now. You know, I mean, interesting that people have commented that when they look at this image, there's more hip slide, but your left knee is actually less out in front of your left ankle than it's ever been at that point. Look at the shaft lean on that. Handle location much better. Alignments at impact. P7 says it all. Much softer in the right arm, maintaining some flex in there. Much better leg work. Nowhere near as much spinning out of that golf ball. Shoulders square, hips open, right forearm slightly lower than the left. Move through the ball. So the right hand not coming off the club anywhere near as much. Exit, much more appropriate also. And the finish, starting to look much more controlled. Look at the left bicep, look at the difference here, how the arms have stayed on the rib cage for longer. Much better look to it there as well from face on mark. So obviously they're the key aspects, key pieces that you've got to work on. Massive improvement with your ball flight, both in regards to trajectory and distance, as well as shape when you get that move in there and you get it correct. So the key one for me at the moment is definitely that internal rotation of the right elbow. If you can get that, then you can start to work on the other pieces excuse me, and start to improve them. Really impressed with what I saw for me when you got it right. Like I said, viewing the guys at the Open this week, you could easily hold your own with those guys. One of the things I really want to work on you with is your understanding of ball flight in the coming weeks. But that's for the coming weeks, as we say. For now, keep working that elbow in from P4 to P5.5. One arm visible at P5 will be one good checkpoint, and P6 and 7, check your alignments from down the line. Good luck with it. Hope you win the next event. Speak soon. Well done.